That means we're saying people should be held accountable for, irrespective of whatever they are carrying arms or spread of information that are false or malicious informations intended to cause chaos or harm to fellow Nigerians, or even to foreigners. That means that we as a nation have agreed together to bring about accountability to every individual. But here is the way the world perceives and looks at the whole thing. The world expects that in situations where we say that the judicial system is meant to be completely neutral and is not meant to recognize your status or your creed or your religion or where you come from. That means it is said that, in fact, when you go to the judicial courts compounds, most places, you find out that the statue placed shows a blindfolded individual, in most cases in the image of a woman, holding in the arm the balance of the law, meaning that the eye turns a blind eye, irrespective of who you are, or where you come from, or who you represent, so long as the law has been applied in anywhere, the individuals will be held accountable. But is it now the case where, it's becoming a visible thing that every corner of the country is now calling to bear to recognize the fact that when it comes to an Igbo man's, actions, the court is swift to apply the rule of law. But when it comes to other ethnicities within the same country that we say we're in marriage to be united as one, there seems to be the application of law is completely different. And in most cases, there's always a face before the law. That means there is a consideration of the individuals. In most cases, if it's the people at the top, there's always a concession. And in most cases, if it's a people of a particular region, there's also a certain considerations and concessions. If you look at the delivery of the judgment, which I'm not against, the major outcry that people are persistently pointing out to is the conviction of Nnamdi Kanu was based on hearsay and mere say. That is one. And the second major most held accountable means to convicting him was that they did not find any form of arms with this said individual. But all they could lay siege and claim to is to have found him with a broadcast equipment. So in other words, that while yes, the individual can be charged for misinformation, which the Nigerian law and legal system has never stipulated a life sentence for such misdemo or any form of spread of such fallacious informations. But here we now look at the comparison to individuals that have been clearly seen, not just by bar witnesses, but in video clips and in complete recognition by each state governments of negotiating with individuals not just for the sake of bearing arms, but bring arms to the so-called peace pacifying meetings or brokered meetings between the states and these individuals. And then let us also look at the fact that in most cases where these things have taken place, we have also seen that the state have not denied it in at all. As a matter of fact, just recently, the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir Rufai, told the entire nation and the rest of the world that the office of the NSA, the National Security Advisor, pays bandits, militants, terrorists is the word, terrorists, monthly allowances and fees and inhabits them. Then the same state governor of Kaduna State also came out to collaborate that this is the only way they have been able to, gain peace to a certain level in the state. That means that the state, the national, recognizes that it is in partnership in funding of this terrorism. And we now dare ask ourselves as a nation, if we take and deploy soldiers to go to a certain individual's house, to raid, to maim, and to kill, all because a certain individual is claiming for a secession, which is rightfully under the Constitution and also recognized globally. The death of many nations today, from the originally, for instance, the USSR, we know how many countries were all completely bettered from the USSR, the Yugoslavias, and so many other countries today. It simply tells us that in situations where people are not recognized, or there seems to be a selective justice system, it's only calling for people to simply go their own way. And people asking to go their own way is not a crime, just as Sunday Bureau and other northern elites have been clamoring in the open, not in the hidden, requesting for. To the other one in the north have been calling for the same, that they want to go their own respective way. Why haven't we had the same people brought under the same hammer as Nnamdi Kanu? It is not to say that I support entirety in all the actions that Nnamdi Kanu was taking, or that some other persons have been taking, because I believe in the way that says the rule of law is supreme in every society, and in every clamor or advocation must follow the simple means to requesting the rightful ways to the laws of the land. But bringing it home, the same federal government that have just recently admitted to the NIS office and to the various state governors that they are in partnership with these same militants, these same terrorists, suddenly felt so embarrassed and felt so, or unbelievably charged up when a simple concerned individual from the United States of America called for immediate actions to protecting the lives of noble Nigerians. And we dare ask our dear government, what is it that you say? If truly that the government is in genuineness requesting for help, knowing that the help is being offered on platter, and the first is to defend, to even, showcase to the world whether it is a genocide taking place or there is a justification for the claims of Nigerians. And even the government itself, in agreeing the continued onslaught on human lives in Nigeria, it's not just an embarrassment or a disgrace to the current government, but it's to showcase to Nigerians and the rest of the world that they are not in charge. The fact that you can recognize that lives are being taken and cut short by individuals who are, in partnership with the states, and you are not willing to accept help, shows that there is more to be told to the rest of the world than what we see in the barricades of those who are being sponsored now to speak against the intervention by the US states. Because it's obvious that the Nigerian government and the Nigerian people entirety needs help. These killings cannot continue to go on. And then this continued apprehension and abduction of people cannot continue to go on in a state that is said to be sovereign. It is not just a spiteful shame to our dear country, but it is very much unwarranted with the humongous funds that is plundered daily, all in the name of securing our dear territory.
All right, then. So I want to play a clip from when the campaigns ahead of the 2023 elections was going on, when the then vice presidential candidate of the APC, which is now the ruling party, Kashim Shettima, who's now Nigeria's vice president, talked about how he will handle security. He says he will not only handle security, but he will even lead troops into battle. So I want us to take a listen to him before we continue the conversation.
I've been in the theater of conflict for 18 years. I will lead the troops. My principal is an economic wizard who transformed Lagos into the third largest economy in Africa. He will concentrate on the economy. By God's grace, I will handle the security arm. Not only handle the security arm, I will lead the troops to battle across the length and breadth of this country.
Can we say this is indeed him handling the security issues, tackling Nigeria?
Obviously, it's a failed promise, And there's no justification for all these continued failures that we are now reinforcing failure. I borrowed the words of the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, who said, "You cannot be reinforcing failure and expect result. It doesn't happen. Nowhere in the world do we continue to have this level of failure, and the people are being led like onto the slaughter now." Just 2 days ago, we're talking about the kidnap of over 25 girls, 25 children from a school, and then we now hear the largest number of people being moved in a single entity of over 300 something people. And we are still saying or relying our lives to be left in the hands of these people who have only shown to us that they are just mere comedians. Because how do you marry a woman of a man who is the current vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? It's not just even showcasing what they have played promise on developing the economy, but even the most basic essential reasons for the existence of the government is for the lives and property. If you have failed to protect the lives and property, you have not really been in office. Because who are the people you are said to be protecting? Who are the people who make up the country? So we must as a nation begin to look beyond this and ensure that we don't continue to have this, failures of promises and undeliverable. It is obvious that these people have failed, and one would have expected that they would excuse themselves and say, in vulnerable situations, that they will give opportunity to other people to, play the role in leadership. But it's only in Nigeria you see somebody who is failing at every angle, still requesting to be in the same position, and not only be in the same position, but they want to be there forever. It is a complete slap on the nation at large. And I don't think that the Nigerian people deserve these continued lapses. And we ask ourselves, what is even the essence of having the Inspector General of Police in position? What then is the role of the police in all this? If there was an attempt or said to be a false rumor, it is now the court responding, not the police. The people charged with the protection of internal security of a nation are simply laid back and become entertainers and bodyguards and errand men for individuals with questionable characters in the society. We ask ourselves, what is the essence of our dear nation today in coexisting if all of these things continue to play as the major clear indication that all is not working well? It simply tells us that we cannot continue to be in the same marriage of a failed premises and expect to allow the same people in the offices. Because of whose interest are they protecting? Is it the interest of the terrorists? Because I want us to understand this whole dynamics. I was expecting that the National Security Advisor would come out to tell Nigerians, this is a fallacies, that this is all false claims, and nobody expected it. But it was kept with memos, and the Kaduna State government, in defense, was able to tell Nigerians that these individuals are being paid, based on peace efforts. Now we have seen the same peace efforts extended to the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the name of Muhammad Buhari. In his home state, we have continued to see the brazen attitude, not just in Katsina. We have seen it across the entire northern states. The only thing that is yet to take place now is bringing the same thing to the eastern and the other southern or south states within the federation. That is when we now know that these individuals have completely overrun the entire territory of Nigeria. It is unacceptable, and not just unacceptable, but we cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. The VP, in his desperation to become in power, now they are in power after 2 years. Look at how the country has been derailed for. What is the promises to bring back those now that have been abducted are in the hands of these terrorists that are being funded by the government, because the government is here to refute that fact, and the government is here to say, okay, the individual who exposed these same facts to Nigerians, they have not been able to say, let him recount it. So for the fact that these things have not been recounted simply tells Nigerians that we're in a bigger, greater danger than we can see. Because all that is now being laid to Nigerians bare for us to see is that in reality, this is a dramatized, orchestrated, state-funded terrorism against its people. Except the state government and
if you believe that it is state-funded, Mr. Alexander Orji, there some details have just emerged from the meeting between the United States War Secretary, that's Pete Hegseth, and the Nigerian delegation, which included the country's national security advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. Now, Ribadu had met with the U.S. delegation following Donald Trump's threat to attack jihadist groups terrorizing and killing Christians in Nigeria. Now, the delegation had the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, that's Bianca Ojukwu, the IG of Police was there, that's Kayode Egbetokun, the Attorney General of Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, was there, the Chief of Defense Staff was also there. Now, while talking about the meeting, they said they discussed ways to make tangible progress. There was also a report that one of the U.S. Congress representatives, Riley Moore, outlined 2 conditions that must be met before the U.S. will give Nigeria any military assistance. And one of those conditions is actually the release of Sunday Jackson. You must have heard about Sunday Jackson, who allegedly killed someone who attacked him on his farm in self-defense and was sentenced to death. Now, Representative Riley Moore is saying if Nigeria wants the U.S. to collaborate with us to end this insecurity, the first thing Nigeria must do is to remove Sunday Jackson from the death row. And after that, the Nigerian government must submit a comprehensive report on how it intends to tackle terrorism in Nigeria. So it's not like they're giving us conditions. They're saying you must do this if you need help. One is, would you expect the government to take them up on that offer? And if they don't take them up on that offer, does that mean that there is no willingness to actually phase out insecurity in this country? Again, we have to ask, who are the sponsors? Nigerians will always ask whenever we bring up these topics, where are the 400 names that the UAE gave Nigeria during the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari? It was last month that Mali and Burkina Faso came out to tell Nigerians that they know our political elites who are involved in sponsoring terrorism and that they will soon release the names. The US also says sometimes it gives Nigeria intelligence that, oh, these people are planning to attack. So it seems like the wider global African and international intelligence community knows what is happening in Nigeria more than our own Nigerian intelligence community.
Well, first of all, I'd like to reiterate the fact that it's not as if they know more than what happens in Nigeria. It's not true. Every state governor, quote me, every state governor in Nigeria receives security briefings every single morning. In fact, it's a routine that between 4 to 6 a.m. in the morning, the governor as a routine must receive the security briefing of the state. The same thing takes place with the office of the president. As a matter of fact, in most cases, the vice president is not aware of the security briefings that the president receives, because as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, he receives the first-class security briefs every single morning. So what they simply do is to tell the president and the governors the entirety of all that takes place, which is why when an event or certain things happen to the people in authority, it never takes more than 2 or 3 days to apprehend those that are in charge or those who have perpetrated this crime. Have we asked ourselves, how come the same people who cannot find the solutions to this problem we have in Nigeria, but within days of a particular incident that happens to the people at the top, they are able to not only rescue the people, but are also able to find the people who have hands and who are also connected to these same crimes? And this has been going on for years. Now let us bring it home. The president and the governors cannot say they're not aware of all that is taking place. Because the first thing Nigerians need to understand, first of all, is you cannot be funding terrorism that you're complaining are out of hand. You cannot be paying people that are killing your own people and you're negotiating on a daily basis. And whenever there's tend to be a strike against these individuals, you hear the same governors lobbying and saying no, they cannot. In fact, for any governor who dares say he wants to breach the agreements of these same individuals, he becomes the major target. And it is not long before he begins to have problems in office. Quote me also on this thing. The Nigerian government of today are deliberately wasting the resources of the common people by sending people who have no relevance to these negotiations. Why are we going to negotiate and tell US not to come? What is the fear in allowing US to come? Has US come to take our oil or our resources? Are we saying that US have not been having our access to our oil? Who are the owners of the IOCs that we have in Nigeria? The international oil companies that have been drawing oil for several years, or the ones that have been mining. Is it now that we're now saying we want to stop them from coming because we're scared of them coming to take our resources? What is that common resources that the US or the foreign allies do not have access already? Do not forget that the usual most unacceptable excuse by every government that comes into power is that they're going to look for foreign investors. What they should have been using and telling again that they're going to look for foreign exploitators. Because nobody wants to come and add value to your nation. Everybody is after to come and take. But if a president of a dear nation of another country is concerned about the lives of another set of individuals who have been hearing and calling, God will not come down to help us. He will send people. He will send human beings with the capacity and the capability to completely disseminate this whole nonsense. Because why I call it nonsense, that we have continued to pamper and wear them all kinds of fashionable clothes, state-sponsored terrorism against its own people, and now the US or other nations are saying it is time to evacuate these people. Our dear country is now stepping up suddenly, recognizing that these heinous crimes are happening. And now we are saying that they should not come. In fact, our dear citizens, this is the time to step up and say enough is enough. The people leading our dear nations are not intelligent as we think they are, because they do not have solutions to our problems. They have no single idea. If they knew better, they would have done better. Look at over the 25 years of current democratic dispensation, and Nigerians cannot point out to any meaningful development other than people who are completely exploiting the nation, taking advantage of the weaknesses of the Nigerians and the distraction of the Nigerians that are hungry and controls, to create more harms. Now is now making it difficult for people to even live and coexist. That you can no longer be safe in the church, you can no longer be safe in the mosque, you can no longer be safe on the road, you can no longer be safe in the schools. No. This is the time for Nigerians to fight back. But all those who are saying enough, is enough, their voices should be amplified. That all those who are now, with the intent of stopping any external forces to coming into to liberate our dear nation, must be asked critical questions. What is your intention? If you are saying that these people should not come, what have you done to stop these heinous crimes? And what have you done to secure lives and property? Just before the very eyes of our dear president, who could not travel, according to the word released by the presidency, that it was a sympathy to the kidnapped 25 children from schools, not up to 48 hours. The same bill funded by the states, pampered by the states, and surely protected by the states, came out daring to another state to kidnap over 300 and something pupils. Now, who are the government now saying they want to protect? When the entire police force, military, and all the apparatuses are all in their homes and their own offices protecting them. Who is now being protected in Nigeria?
While we're talking about this, there has been some update on the situation with some of the students who were actually abducted from a Catholic school in Niger State. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear about 50. Yeah, I hear about 50. Only
Yes,
confirmed
that
report
we
from
heard that
Punch.
about 50 of them escaped and that they have been reunited with their families. We're looking at over 300 people taken away. That 50 of them escaped and their teachers were, we heard that about 12 teachers were taken away as well. And it seems that none of them were able to escape. And so some Nigerians have actually been questioning the truth of this. Also, the Kwara State government has confirmed the release of the worshippers that were abducted from the CAC church in the state, about 38 worshippers that they have been released. Now, Nigerians have actually been concerned about what they've called propaganda, not just it does in the media. There have been times when we'll see the Nigerian Army account will post that, some people have been released from the den of kidnappers, and they're using old pictures to depict people that were reportedly recently released. And so some are looking at it, how was it really possible that these 50 students escaped, or were they released? Was ransom paid? What is it that we do not know that is happening here? And what is the fate of those who still remain? Also, Nigeria's former Minister of Information, Professor Jerry Gana, is of the opinion that these terrorists are intentionally kidnapping young children in order to use them as human shields, just in case the America does send its military to Nigeria, that they do not want to be bombed, that it might be easier for the US military to find their enclaves and bomb them into oblivion. And so they are kidnapping these young children to use them as human shields, so that the American military, by trying to avoid that collateral catastrophic damage of wasting young human lives, will not then turn around and bomb them in that way. Is this an opinion that you would agree with?
Not at all. I don't agree with it. It's a complete fallacy. You see, the one thing we should even be asking ourselves in all of all this, I don't know if you've heard any comment from the IG on his intended response.
He's currently, in the United States and meeting with Donald Trump's representatives to talk about
these people should be all be arrested.
The end
all these people
there.
should be arrested because
They
are the ones wasting our resources. As a matter of fact, these individuals should be immediately apprehended and arrested in US where they are.
By who?
Because they are the conduits to which Nigerians outside there should be able to take this motive, take these steps to ensure that we hold them for accountability. Since it is actually almost impossible to get them arrested in Nigeria, because they are the ones deciding the lives of if they say over 200 million people, because we don't know. All of these are political census figures. Coming back to the question, my major concern is that when these people go on this jamboree, today nobody is taking responsibility for these failures. Not the IG, not the Ministry of Interior, not the Ministry of Defense. Nobody, not a single soul is taking responsibility, including the president. What we shall be seeing is individuals who would have accepted and said, I failed in this. For this same reason, let me give somebody who believes can do better. But we continue to see this level of brazen failure staring in the eye of Nigerians and asking whose fault is it? These are people's lives. These are homes that are being torn apart. Can you imagine what the parents of those children will be going through without, in fact, only the mindset of their children being in the wilderness, with all the videos we'll be seeing circulating over the past 15 years? Most parents will go to bed knowing their child is in the world with decent, brazen, fearless, funded state terrorism. This is a state terrorism. And as a law name we can call it, that will appease it. But let's even look at it. To date, this individual say they're in the state trying to negotiate with the US not to come. And the US is saying, okay, we'll give you these terms and conditions. If the US is able to be cowed, the Nigerians have lost hope. Because it simply means that there is nobody else Nigerians can call to for the rescue of these continued onslaughts. Because there's nobody that will be said to take responsibility for the continued mass failure in governance across. Because if the people who have been elected to the simplest, first of all, protecting the lives of Nigerians have failed, is it my responsibility now to protect the citizenries? With what? Is it with stick? And yet, the same presidency is yet to probe and said in categorical statement to Nigerians that it will not probe the Muhammad Buhari regime because he felt it's a personal home business. That the way you manage your home is the way you manage Nigeria. The essence of probe is for accountability. And when you do this, you help the nation to grow. Let us have accountability and know the individuals that were sent on islands. What did they do? How do they render the account of services and stewardship? If the people before could not do so, then don't expect the people currently today. That is why you will see the IG and co in the midst of trouble are more interested in going to convince the US not to come. Is that not to tell you there's something so wrong? That if the man in charge with internal security and all the various ministries charged with internal security today are more interested in the jamboree of the US, then as a nation we have no hope. Because one simple question we should be asking ourselves, why Nigeria? Don't we have other neighbors? That is why when people like Dati Ahmed and co come out with this, incomprehensible analysis of how Gaddafi brought this upon Nigerians and all that. And I asked myself, these are the people who were going to even entrust Nigeria to. If Gaddafi, had certain people he was under his command, and the only place they could find Rosie to operate is Nigeria. They didn't see Benin Republic. They didn't see Cameroon, the Togo, Ghana, and other nations are coexisting. We have not had these marauding individuals take on any of these nations that are not just only sharing borders with us, but are part of the West African region. That is only a matter of just true. We use that to cross into their own countries. And we have not been hearing of these same issues or attacks with the same neighbors. It is only Nigeria. And the best that we can say is analysis, is to point to a man who has led this country and left. And forgetting that a party national committee member of one of the founding fathers of the APC admitted on a live television of how they brought these individuals into our dear nation for the sole aim of elections. The same man he spoke against, the entire national security apparatus did not see the need to even question him even after he left the presidency. Now he's gone. It's obvious he did not act alone. What about those that Barajan mentioned in this same interview? It was not on audio. It was on a live sitting television. He admittedly said all these things and narrated to prove his point that these were not just mere allegations. He said he was a part of that same team. The DSS did not find him worthy to invite him. No security apparatus in Nigeria has spoken of it. And yet we're chasing one solution. I wonder what indeed has happened to our dear country. I don't know if it is the hunger or is it malnutrition that has affected our reasoning, our thinking. That it is impossible to confront the real problems that face us as a country and begin to look at solutions as well. If Nigeria has taken up the challenge to address the issue Baraje and co raised, we may not be here on this same platform discussing the issue of insecurity today. Because why is the same insecurity not affecting Chad? It's not affecting Niger. It's not affecting Benin. These are people that round us up. It is said that Nigeria has about 1,570 borders across an intermediary with other nations. How come in all of these nations they are not facing the same issue?
And recently the House of Reps raised an alarm that over 70% of Nigeria's borders are unmanned. That is, we have no security personnel in over 70% of our borders. That is, out of this 1,170 borders that you mentioned, we have less than 200 of our borders being manned by security agents. So there are some borders where anybody can just walk in. Traffickers, kidnappers, terrorists, terrorists, bandits. Anyone can just walk in. Our borders are so porous that anyone can just walk in. Now, on this issue of insecurity, the PDP has told President Tinubu to ask for help or resign. Also, during the week, some Nigerians were trending the hashtag Tinubu must resign now, especially when they were quoting the tweets he made over 11 years ago in 2014 when Jonathan was president, and he was saying if Jonathan does not have the capacity to protect the lives of Nigerians, then he should resign and make way for someone else. Then when he was in the opposition, Nigerians are saying he seemed to have the answers, and now that he's on the seat, he seems not to have the answers, and that it seems that this administration is much more invested in PR or in making Nigerians believe that things are good when that is not the case with what we are seeing, or in going after people who have dissenting voices. Although at the editors conference, I think it was last week, yes, the president told us that his administration is very friendly to the media, very friendly to Nigerians, and they are not clamped down on people. But yet we see many Nigerians who are afraid to speak. There was someone who called for, that is not a good thing though, and we do not condone it, but there was someone who posted on X saying the military should take over Nigeria and push the president out of Aso Rock. He did insult the president by using a very bad word on him. He called him the B word and said the military should push him out of Aso Rock and take over. They traced him all the way to Port Harcourt. He was arrested and he has been arraigned in court, and we do not know what the sentence will be after the court arraignment. But we have seen an upsurge in these terrorists posting on social media platform TikTok. They go live. Even the Nigerian army, some members of the Nigerian army will now comment on their video. Nigerians are now commenting on the videos of terrorists, saying, please don't kidnap us. Please don't come to Lagos. Please don't come to Ogun State. Please don't come and carry us. Please don't kidnap me. My family does not have money to take care of me. And the PDP is telling the president, if you cannot ask for help, if you cannot tackle the situation, maybe it is time for you to resign. Meanwhile, the members of his party are passing a vote of confidence on him and endorsing him for the year 2027 elections.
Yes, it's simply because the majority of these individuals are all thieves. You know, when I call them thieves, and I hope that they will also come to challenge me and say that this is not true. You know, is the fact that they have gotten to a situation where it is about sycophancy. Look at the current trend of governors suddenly becoming the camping. You know, if you are not a member of the APC, becoming a one-party state, you are no longer a part of the nation. What is the fear? The fear that EFCC can invite them, you know, to come and explain how indeed they have become so wasteful on the people's commonwealth. Nobody wants to be. Oshomole, a serving senator, told Nigerians while they were campaigning that the APC is a party of forgiveness. Once you join the party, all your sins will be washed away and you'll be completely forgiven.
You know, he has said he didn't say that we misinterpreted what he said.
No, you can't misinterpret him because it was clearly stated. He said so. And you see, it's not even about us now debating with him whether he said so or not. So his utterances and attitude is not playing the same thing. I will not live in the same country where we're seeing the whole brazen attitude of these same individuals, where there is continued impunity on Nigerians in all aspects. Let's even digress a little bit. The presidency came on board and I promised Nigerians, there's going to be betterment in all aspects. Now, the first thing in knocking off the first subsidy regime, that the refineries will be brought on board functioning before the August 2023. And Nigerians came up with a promise. Oh, yes, it's going to work. The then NNPC Group GMCO, you know, Group Managing Director of the company, of now said to be public liability company, made promises along with Nigerians, with the current Minister of Petroleum for State, Henneken, and kept on promising Nigerians that it will come on board, to a point where later in August we had the House Committee invite the two men. And all that Mayor Carreri was telling Nigerians that they too have something to say. That some people will think that they're lying. Nigerians were only asking for, why would the refineries not work? You made a promise to Nigerians that it will work. But for many who knew the truth, who knew what had happened with the previous administration, whom the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria currently sitting, in the person of Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu, said he will not probe. knew what had happened with all the failed agreements, especially with regards to the refinery. Let's even take a look at what happened with the Port Harcourt refinery, where Nigerians were promised to come on board. No matter whatever will happen, come August, it will float. Did they tell Nigerians the agreement that was had with the company called Technomont? And what indeed the previous administration under a certain minister in the name of Chief Silva, all that they did on behalf of Nigerians, that when the current administration came on board and tried to reverse it, and at the end of the day, it became a failed strategy. Till today, have we had the same refinery despite all the continued promises in 3 years after the takeoff of the president, which will be by May? Has it come on board? No. Have they been able to apologize to Nigerians and say they have failed in these promises, even in delivering one single promises they have made to Nigerians? That this refinery will come on board. And yet, the same administration continues to pretend all is well, when certain individuals are now becoming richer than states, more powerful than states. In a country where every ministry you place an individual, it's only a matter of weeks. The embroidered in humongous corruptions that the state itself is scared to even mention. Let us look at how many of the ministers have been brought to book with all that they have mismanaged in the national resources. The same thing has happened with the petroleum industry. That even when a former executive secretary of the NCDMB, who the EFCC came to tell Nigerians that he's being wanted for a connection of misappropriating $35 million. That is the EFCC's estimated figure. That means it could be more than what the EFCC was able to narrow it to. Till date, has he been convicted? But the ordinary man on the street, if he questions the government, he should be killed and stampeded and terminated because he's not worthy of living. His life is not equal to that of a governor, of a minister, or a president, because he's a common man or a man who has chosen to be a law-abiding citizen. Because we have seen that the only people who get the conviction are those who carry arms or those who have become violent. What they're simply doing is pushing chaos in Nigeria that they themselves do not intend to stay. More than 70% of those that are more than 70% of those that are currently leading Nigerians are not Nigerian citizens.
They are not Nigerian citizens. What are they then?
Many of them hold citizenship of other countries as first. And that is why what happened in the NSAS protest. How many of them were left in Nigeria? In less than 14 minutes or less than an hour of the eruption of the NSAS protest, they left the country. For the ordinary citizens that own the country. Tell me how many of them were left? How many? Today, quickly, half of the president's teaching cabinet, internal team, ministers, representatives of the Senate and the House of Representatives, and majority of citizenship to other nations. If they are saying it's a lie, let them sue me to court. Let them sue me to court.
So does this mean?
So how can the allegiance now be to our dear nation?
Okay. Does that mean you support the PDP's call for the president to resign or ask for help? That
he should resign? Yes. If the president is not able to capably deliver the promises he promised in Nigeria, which was first of all on security, then empowerment, infrastructural development, and job creation. The president, if he fails to, along with the team, do not have business being in office. They should honorably, as Democrats, give others a chance. Because our dear nation has lost so much in just few years than we have ever imagined as a nation. Only God, through the use of good men, can bring back our dear nation to its former glory. The fact that everything today has not just only become unmanageable, but destroyed beyond imaginations. That those who had love for the dear country today are now abandoning the nation and all fleeing should be a major source of concern to the entire governance of Nigeria. I keep telling people, The person of Chibola Tinubu is a good man. I have known him for several years. I did not need a godfather to be close to him. He's an individual who is very welcoming and a father. But when it comes to leadership, we must call a spade a spade. The president has not shown to be in control of the nation's issues today. And it must go beyond the political, appeasements of psychopaths who have continued to give the president the impression that things are going well. No. Let us even look at the office of the NSA. What qualification does Ribadu as an individual hold? If not for the sake of trying to appease his person, to be in charge of the office of the NSA. Let me just give you an instance of what had happened in the office of the NSA. I remember the years when the former NSA General Azazu was killed. Because yes, he was killed. That's the word. On the night the Azazi was killed, I was in talks with the current sitting president for over an hour, and the president wept bitterly. He's a man of soft heart, and he's a father. I can't take that away from him. And he's an individual who you can, in fact, you don't need a godfather to be close to him or to get to him. He's an individual who is so detribalized. He doesn't care where you are, so long as you have the credibility and you are a performing person, he will go all the long way to ensure he gives you all the needed support. And that's what he's doing to the so-called ministers and all the people he believed had the capability. But they have showcased to Nigeria that they don't have. I was expecting that the president would have said, now coming into power, whatever had happened to the former NSA General Azazi, we have first of all, let us uncover it. Let us also uncover that which has persistently, people have been used to dirty the image of the president with regards to facial wounds. Let us set up a panel to uncover all that has taken place in all these deaths. All the deaths like Marshall Harry and Co.
Mr. The president has not even solved all the issues that cropped up during his own administration that is less than 3 years old, and you want him to go back in time and look at what has passed even before he became president. Nigerians are complaining about the standard of living, and insecurity is the latest complaint. So if he has not been able to satisfy Nigerians with his current administration, then going back, isn't that looking backwards when you're meant to look forwards? That's not to say that some of these people do not deserve justice if you believe that quite a number of them were murdered or met ends that they were not supposed to. But how about we talk about what is actually going on right now? For example, you talked about fears of a one-party state, and that is a very cogent fear for many Nigerians. Elder statesman and NNPP chieftain Buba Galadima has come out to accuse President Tinubu of pushing a one-party agenda in Nigeria with the defection of quite a number of governors to the APC. The Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, recently told us, that was last month, that by 2026 APC will control 30 states in Nigeria, and it's really looking like that. The Taraba State governor wants to defect. Well, he says he's postponing his defection due to the wave of insecurity in the country. It's almost like, I can't hold a ceremony when people are lamenting. Now, what Buba Galadima is saying is that President Tinubu is pursuing an undemocratic agenda aimed at establishing a one-party state, but he says this project will fail. He says that in 2027, it's almost as if they do not want to hold an election in 2027. Which is supposed to be a defining moment for many Nigerians. He says they're trying to weaken other political parties, which is unnecessary. He goes ahead to say that maybe the plan is so that there will be no election in Nigeria in 2027. He says, but these elections will hold. Democracy requires alternative views. The absence of dissent leads to dictatorship. So is this a palpable fear? Is this a fear that you also have, not just of a one-party state, but that, if all the governors belong to the APC, is going to be in 2027? How about we just not waste our money conducting elections and all Nigerians are speaking for the president?
Well, first of all, it's not just laughable, but again, we ask ourselves, what good has conducting elections in Nigeria really done to Nigerians? Has it really brought about credibility?
Does that mean we should
The
not
elections that
conduct
cost.
elections?
No. I want us to look at it two ways. We should be as a nation now trying to save itself, because it is said that Nigeria is a poor nation. And the continued borrowing also shows that we're not borrowing to fund major infrastructure. In most cases, we're borrowing to fund debts or to fund, recurrent expenditures. So in most cases, we ask ourselves, a nation that is plaguing or spreading the news of making so much in terms of revenue is not translating in its own borrowing patterns. And if indeed we're going to even conduct elections, of what major impact benefit will it be to us? Will indeed, I borrow the word of former or current Emir of Kanu, Nnamdi Sanusi, who said that if he picked random Nigerians from across the entire state of the Federation and put them in the various House of Representatives and the Senate, they will not act differently from the current dispensation of the 10th Assembly. That's a big slap. It simply means that why did we even waste so much meaningless money? Because the people, when they get there, are not representing the people. It becomes majorly about their interests. And what do? The first thing they do is to align with the areas that favors them, which is what is happening with the current state governors. The state governors are currently transiting to parties where they feel secured. Why? Because they know that the sledgehammer coming will not be easy on them. So if it is now translating into a one-party state, is it what Nigerians now really deserve? The answer rests on Nigerians. But we should ask ourselves truthfully, those that are there, is it that they are driving the agenda of the Nigerian people, or they are driving the agenda of their own interests, which is where Nigerians now should act? But however, let me take you a little bit backwards to why I mentioned the issue of the scenarios with regards to the former NSA. It is said that when you know the history, it is easier to address and forge ahead. You cannot treat a symptom without knowing its history. If you know the history, you know the pattern behavior, you know how indeed to address the issue of the security. Let's not forget that while all of these insecurities were popping in, that was when we began to witness all of these happenings, especially with the political claims. It was evident to Nigeria, especially in that quantum of numbers, because they expected that in most cases where a particular candidate has become popular, most people see them as already being protected. So when they succeed in killing them, in the case of Bola Ige, Funsho Williams, Marshall Harry, and co., Nigerians grew wary to, if the security agencies could not find the solutions, it simply means that the state itself was not just showing its weakness, but was showing that it didn't have any solution to profiling insecurity issues or resolving the problems. So while all of this has begun to grow wings, they realized that in the Nigerian of today, you can act with impunity and get away with it. Which is why with all the elections that I've held ever from 1999 to date, or I will say till last week, we have always continued to record violences, snatching of electoral boxes, threats and intimidations. Until this day, in 25 years, a nation operating in the 21st century has not been able to convict not one person or group of persons or charge with decent electoral violences. And we ask ourselves now, what then is now the issue? Is it that the Nigeria of today is incapable of addressing these issues, or is just that it is a norm that goes with the elections? So if it is a norm that goes with the election, why are we not scared of the one-party state? Because the one-party state now being followed to
one-party state, though.
It is definitely not something I would even in a lifetime or tomorrow advocate for.
But you're saying it's not.
But we should ask ourselves. No, it is not even ideal at all. But it's a complacency of the Nigerian people itself, either as a result of lack of knowledge or as a result of the fact that we are now playing the sentiments of region I come from this place, it is okay. Look at in the case of my governor of my state, Enugu State, who became to the APC for no justification. We ask, what indeed is the reason for the campaign? Till date, nobody gives an answer.
It's for the good of the people of Enugu State. That's what most of the governors say, so that they can yield the democracy to their people. Then we're asking the question, some of the states that have been ravaged by insecurity are APC states. And one would say, is it that the others who are now going to the APC, they want to be able to do more for their people?
It's obvious not. The major thing is the fear of just being invited by the institutions in charge of financial regulations. That's the only major thing that I see.
So you're saying because have skeletons in their cupboards?
Of course, it's becoming interwoven. To govern a state in Nigeria, you must have skeletons in the cupboard, because we have seen that those who have done this in the past were not held accountable. There is none of the state governors who have come out to say, I'm giving an account of how I led the state, including those that were even seen as saints. Let us even look at the former Cross River State Governor, Donald Duke, who many saw as saints. Today we're here to see them even render their accountabilities on a plain sheet. To say, okay, this and this were the own stewardships. I'm not saying it's corrupt. I'm not saying that others are corrupt. But how indeed is it that it is so difficult for a governor that is being elected to lead? It is a call to serve. It is not an ownership. It is not a rightful. So, being called to serve also calls for being called to account for. And that's where our people are getting it wrong. They have become and placed these individuals as above the law and sense. To even recognize the fact that each time these governors, carry out a project, it is seen as a gift. Just as what as Wike is displaying in FCT today and what he displayed in Rivers State. The people of Rivers come out with all this celebration of sacrificing, thinking it is about Wike's money. It is not Wike's money. The state should be asking Wike, what was the job you did to even own a private jet? I'm here to see even all the news anchors and all the various, the media, which should be holding these people accountable. I'll ask these individuals, okay, what us to show Nigerians how indeed you were able to capably deliver and become so successful, having been in leadership. Let it become a model for others to learn from. But then we see that people like Saraki and Co., there's no governor in Nigeria that doesn't amass so much wealth that are unexplainable. And they always look at that, they don't understand people any type of explanations. They look at it that it's an inheritance. And as such, nobody demands to ask them any questions. Should this be our own, benefits when we send people to represent or to lead our dear state or nations? It is absolutely uncalled for. And that's because over the years, it has become a norm. Every governor does this and gets away with it. The same with the president. And they continue being rewarded with lifetime pensions, houses, cars, yearly cars, or sometimes every 4 years. Why? In the midst of the same poor people or people being projected as being poor. And the same nation itself cannot afford to pay back its debts. And yet the same debt is on a daily basis is now being increased. In a nation we now say that we're making so much in terms of revenue generations. How come these revenue generations are not translating into the infrastructures that we should be having self-fundings? Now the government is now dipping its money into all the pensions and no. This is beyond the imagination of what we envisage as our dear country.
All right.
We must request for accountability, and this must end. We can't live in a nation where we continue to wishfully think that things will solve itself or become a solution. No. The fact that other nations are now beginning to see us as needing help, Nigerians must be willing to take this help so as to bring ourselves back to safety. And all those who are held in captivity must be returned back alive. And all those who are holding them must be held, completely accountable for all the heinous crimes that they have perpetrated. We cannot continue to have the same situation of, heinous crimes being perpetrated against the people of Nigeria, and certain individuals are in the midst of defending them and ensuring that these things are not held accountable. It is unacceptable.
All right,
and as a country, we must also rethink ourselves on how we forge ahead together, especially in ensuring that people, are held accountable for all their actions, in every aspect of life. It is not acceptable that the laws are applicable to some states where in some regions it is being softened or considered to be, a no-go area. What is it that the President Jonathan administration called cabals? That these same individuals today, we have not seen them being held accountable. In fact, just recently, the Omotosho fired from UK and saying that cabals are trying to limit the Dangote from operating freely in Nigeria. And I said to him in my response to the tweet, and I said, how come that over several years, now more than 10 years plus, the Jonathan administration has mentioned cabals, is yet to name these individuals, Nigerians that are being referred to as cabals. That means that he saw them as people who are beyond laws. It's a big shame in Nigeria. Right. It's a big shame that even other nations can call us a shamed country. In a country where we're endowed with all the human resources.
Okay, Donald Trump did call Nigeria a disgraced country. But I do thank you for joining us on the conversation today. Just a few more questions before you go. Right, a few more questions so that we can actually take calls. In the meantime, you're tuned into the Political Spotlight right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I'm your host. My name is Chioma Innocent, and I've been talking via the telephone with Mr. Chijioke Alexander Orji. We've been talking about the state of the nation, from the conviction of Nnamdi Kanu, from the now debunked assassination attempt on Justice James Omotosho, who handed down that life sentence. The Federal High Court is saying there was nothing like that, and it was just a false report being circulated by a mischievous blogger. Now we know that that's not happening. And we're also talking about insecurity. 50 of the students who were abducted from the Catholic school in Niger State have reportedly escaped, and we're asking the question, how? Also, the Kwara State governor has confirmed that the worshippers who were abducted from the CAC church in Eruku have been released, and we're waiting to hear the details of their release. In the meantime, let's talk about how we're tackling insecurity. Now, the APC in Lagos has alleged that internal saboteurs are behind rising terror attacks in Nigeria. They're saying that it's not just as if it's not that these things are not happening, but these are not foreigners, that these are Nigerians sponsoring this terrorism. And the question we'll ask Mr. Chijioke Alexander is this: if they know the people who are behind this, how come they come out and then tell us? Also, in Kogi State, the police have warned that there may be attacks on schools, on banks, on worship centers, that this is very credible intelligence that should not be taken for granted. In fact, they mentioned some possible targets. They mentioned a secondary school, a university, a commercial bank, some police station, churches, and other worship centers. Now, while we're talking about all of this, the Christian Association of Nigeria has declared a nationwide day of prayer against Christian genocide in Nigeria, while the Borno State governor declared fasting and prayer. One would say, did other nations deal with their issues, economic recession, insecurity, and others, through fasting and prayer? Also, to round up this questioning, the Cross River State government has revoked the permit that was given to Miyetti Allah cattle breeders to move through the state, right? So they have revoked that, saying because of insecurity across the country, that herders are no longer allowed to move through Cross River State. Would you say that other states should also imbibe this? And how would that all go well? Because there's a movie that's currently out on Netflix and in cinemas. It's called The Head. And then this movie depicts this insecurity across the country. Meanwhile, some people in the north, some Arawa influencers, have been posting on social media saying that movie should be taken down because it is painting one ethnic group, that is the Fulanis, as it is painting them as criminals, painting them as kidnappers. Meanwhile, more Nigerians have been saying that this is just depicting what is happening in the country. So I'd like you to lump all of this into one and just give us your response.
Okay, first of all, it's very unfortunate that the Fulani people are in the crossfire with all of this, especially the fact that our dear nation, find it difficult in taking time to do its own independent investigation. In repeated interviews I granted in 2019, I said the word that the Fulanis I know, and many people knew, were not known as killers. There were people who were loving, they might not be loving in the sense of expressing it, but you could see them with seeing the fact that they control heads that are giants, but yet they were very fragile and did all of these things with just a stick. And these same people, when you see them, they come to your farm. They are usually guiding the heads away from the farms, making sure there's no conflict. In fact, the major barriers that I saw them was language. Because the average Agoi man or Fulani man doesn't speak, English language or other languages or like the Igbo languages. So it was difficult to communicate, but in most cases we communicated with signs. You could greet them and they'll greet you back, and they're just going their own way. There were no conflicts. These things didn't happen. So I would say that the average heather man is a victim of all of these issues. As a matter of fact, in 2019, I tried to reach out to the then former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, to tell him, you have been making effort to lead Nigeria. But this renaissance has been coming up that it is your people that are killing Nigerians. Bala Ahmed, who is the current governor of Bauchi State, these are the same people who are also Fulanis. But we're being told that their people are the killers of Nigerians. Now, they have not been seen to dissuade or in any way at all say, no, our people are different from the Fulanis being referred to. And especially when there's absence of credible informations, do not blame people when they fill in the gap with their own notions. That is what is happening with today. I'm not exonerating the Fulani man today, who many of them, by their appearances, seem to be Fulanis. But the federal government of Nigeria today, with all the resources from 2019 till date, have not been able to prove to Nigerians in otherwise whether they're Fulanis or not. As a matter of fact, when these people were called terrorists, the narrative was changed by the former presidential spokesperson. I can't remember his name now. Who used the word herdsmen. And ever since then, Nigerians began to use the word herdsmen. And we asked ourselves, what indeed is this Fulani agenda if truly it's been taking place? The average Fulani man that I know is not in terms of the Islamization as being purported or preached. In fact, if you stayed in the north, I was in the north for about 6 months. In 1998, from January 3rd to June 6th, 1998, I was in Kaduna and other neighboring states then. And within that same period, I encountered one of the most disturbing situations, which was the first time I beheld and saw the world or the people or children being referred to as Alamajiri. And I saw that as a ticking bomb. I shared those experiences with some individuals as a word of concern that we're breeding a kind of a serious encounter with our dear nation, that if not checked in time to come, it will become a problem to manage. Today it is unfolding. Because let us not forget that an idle mind is a devil's workshop, as it is said. When you have people who are idle and are available to be recruited, they will always carry on the said word of their master. What is the master? Finance, gun, and power. And that is what we're seeing brazenly taking place today in the disregard of the value of humanity. Because let us not forget that people cannot give what they don't have. Children who are raised in the most despicable manner, raised on street as young as 4-5 years old, will never be able to share love because they never have experienced what it is that is called love.
So how do we curb this situation? Schools are closing across the north due to insecurity. This is not even the time to try to preach education to the average northerner. I'm also talking about governors and religious leaders saying we should pray and fast. We need to talk about solutions. So in the next 1 or 2 minutes, I need you to refer your own solutions to the malaise that is worrying Nigeria.
The praying and fasting is a fraud that they have always continued to use, and it will never be of any use today. Just recently, I wrote to Debunked Foundation. It's online. I wrote to them requesting for the way out of this menace is education. There is no way that you cannot have minds that are not enlightened become easy prey and used as an instrument of against the state in such scenarios as we have today. There is not an educated individual that will wander in the bush or in the forest with cows. There is none. I put it as a challenge to the entire nation today, that if truly we are honest to really eradicate this problem, what we should be thinking about is how to enlighten these individuals. If they cannot have the average classrooms, let us train them in the trade to which they are perpetuating today, which they are carried on. We can let them know that you don't have to wander with the cows into the forest, but you can raise the grasses today that will feed and bring about a healthy cow that will fetch you the needed forms, just being in one environment. Let us not forget that all of these things today are happening because the individuals are not enlightened, and that's why they're easily available to be utilized by all across the board.
Do you think they'll welcome this enlightenment?
That's the will. Let Dangote, who has not been paying tax to the federal government and to the Nigeria at large, who has been getting a lot of concessions in taxes and other waivers, utilize that money, not in buying vehicles that will be stationed in the front of the office or in the house of the current president or across the states. Utilize these funds in educating these individuals that have become a menace to the Nigerian today. I am available to lend the support in volunteering in training of these individuals that can become useful to the states. And for those who cannot at all be reformed, then the state knows what to do. The state knows the appropriate sanctions to follow. All I'm telling the entire nation today is that without thinking of enlightening these minds, there is no alternatives. Because so long as, look at the nation that seems to be working towards achieving the MDG is having the highest number of out-of-school children compared to nations that are more than 8 times or 10 times the size of nation, our dear nation. What seriousness are we paying as a country towards development when we cannot educate? The education is always about the classroom. We can train these individuals in different apprenticeship and they become useful to their country, to their nation, to their community, and to their families. These are the areas that the government should be looking into. But the current government today have continued to shield the president and his entourage from accessing help from rural many Nigerians. I'm aware of many people who have tried and sent several alternatives to the president without getting any form of welcome development from them. The former Minister of Information, in the person of Lai Mohammed, I sent him a detailed, documented processes to engaging and ensuring that the Nigerian state, under the then President Muhammad Buhari, was a restored environment. What did he do? He took advantage of it and lapsed all the whole advices that I meted out to him. All of this were all completely free to my dear nation. These are things that we do, trying to see how we can improve the governance of our dear country, because we know that so long as we continue to have good people in the Nigeria, there is bound to be yield of bounty of good people more, which is where we should be focusing more as our dear countrymen and women.
It's been quite an interesting conversation, Mr. Chijoke Alexander Oji, and I must thank you for being a part of this conversation. I really appreciate you. I know we've taken it more longer than we said it would go, but I appreciate your insight. I appreciate your analysis, your opinions, and everything you said on this program today. I do appreciate you very, very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
And enjoy the rest of your evening. You are tuned into the Political Spotlight right here on Voice of the People. 90.3 FM Political Spotlight comes to you every Sunday from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. That is to say, we have just about 27 minutes before we go. Don't worry. I know the conversation has been going on for quite a while. It's time for you to call. I did say at some point you can call to let your voice be heard. So this is the time for you to actually call in to be a part of the conversation. You can also send your messages on WhatsApp, leave your comments on YouTube. What's streaming live on YouTube is VOP 903 FM. VOP 903 FM on YouTube. Yes, once you type that on YouTube, you see VOP will pop up. On WhatsApp, it's 0817 175 6338. 0817 175 6338 on WhatsApp. You can either call me on WhatsApp or send a message. For direct calls, it's 0803 692 9933. 0803 692 9933 for direct calls. Coming up, I want to hear from you. This is the Political Spotlight, and we're talking about the issues that are affecting us as a people, as Nigerians today. Please turn down the volume of your radio set before you call, or turn off the radio set, please. Hello?
Hello?
Welcome to the Political Spotlight. How you doing?
Hello?
Welcome to the Political Spotlight. How you doing?
Yeah, thank you. Chairman Innocent, good evening.
Good evening to you. What's your name and location, please?
Yes, I thank you again.
Thank you.
I'm I'm calling from Somali.
Welcome.
Yeah. But I like everything you just say, but there are some areas I just some questions.
Okay.
But I'm not going to deal with those questions. The reason I will tell you that the solution, I just want to bring a solution for this concerning Nigeria problem. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, thank you, man. I'm just telling Mr. President to instruct the IG of police to count all the Nigerian police to know who is actually Nigerian police. And also, Chief of Army Staff will do the same thing to find out who actually is Nigerian armed forces. The same thing, this thing will go to both the DSS, all the security apparatus. That is how from here they can be able to separate the chaff from the weed. Look at what is happening to the Abu, the brigadier general that they killed.
Oh, Uba.
Do you know that the man sent a message? That message was one kind way sent to the enemy. They located that man for where he hid, and they captured the man and killed the man. So the best thing we can do now is go to the armed forces organograms and work internally with them, because these people have infiltrated our law enforcement agency. They have infiltrated our law enforcement agency, and there's no anything Mr. President can do now except for Mr. President to work within those that are around him, and they use the faithful one that remains to count who is exactly Nigerian in terms of security apparatus.
All right, thank you.
That's the link I would say. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. 0803 692 9933. 0803 692 9933 for direct calls. This is the Political Spotlight right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Please turn off your radio set before you call. Turn off your radio set and give me a call back. You can call me on WhatsApp. It's 0817 175 6338. 0817 175 6338 on WhatsApp. You can call me or send a message. You can also leave a comment on YouTube. We're streaming live VOP 903 FM, VOP 903 FM on YouTube. Leave a comment. Hello? Hello? Welcome to the Political Spotlight. Are you there? Hello? Hello, are you there?
Hello, it's me, Prince Igwe from Ijebu.
Welcome, Prince Igwe. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Yeah. About this insecurity in Nigeria, like they say, Fulani herdsmen, Fulani do this, Fulani herdsmen. These Fulanis are not bad. These Fulanis are be in Plateau, be in Borno, be in Kanu. So, I have encountered with them. They are not a murderer. Like, it's our political insecurity. It's our government is aware of know about this insecurity. This is a political toss. Because I remember when Obasanjo told say anything that lasts for 24 hours is a political hand is there.
Obasanjo said that.
Yeah, I went. I went when Obasanjo said that was like 2021. Insecurity is our government. They know what is going on in.
Hello, are you there? Hello. All right, give me a call back. 0803692. Give me a call back. All right, please turn off your radio set before you call, or turn the volume to the lowest so that we can hear each other. Hi there, welcome to the Political Spotlight. What's your name and location, please?
Good evening, Sister Chema.
Good evening to you. How are you doing?
Wow, this is Prince from Oja.
Welcome, Prince. Go ahead, please.
Yes. The Bible says you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. For those who care to know the truth. My dear sister, you are a journalist. I want to ask you a question. From what you have seen, do you see the government of Nigeria as having the political will, determination politically to end insurgency in this country? Because from what I'm seeing as an ordinary citizen, it appears to me that the government is being hypocritical. One, all those people in the IDP camps are going to return to their central homes. Number two, how many of the bandits or terrorists have been arrested, prosecuted, jailed, or killed? Number three, the sponsors of terrorism and banditry and kidnapping, are they spirits of human beings? These are some simple questions I want to ask. Because I don't listen to radio, the permutations, the hypotheses, the analysis, and so on and so forth. But I see government has been compromising with what is going on. Every day, every week, people are being killed. These people that are killed, are they ants? Are they roaches? Are they just lizards? Are they not human beings like us? So it beats my imagination when I look at it critically, I mean holistically, that this type of thing is going on in Nigeria, that we can don't have the free movement again to go from one state to the other without holding your chest to your hands because of insecurity. So I look at government, the news, I mean the way things are going, but it doesn't seem to me that government is willing to end this insurgency. Then where do we go from here? They do not blame another country like the US.
Hello, are you there? All right, give me a call back. I definitely want to hear from you. 0803-692-9933. Welcome to the Political Spotlight. Hello.
Hello, good evening, Showman Innocent.
Good evening.
This is I'm calling from Lagos.
Welcome to the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is what my brother is I just left is saying is the truth, sir. If you look at the aspect part of it, this thing that happened to Edo State, to Johnson precisely, shows us little of what is going on. People are caught. If they case of 4849 and with cash, if they have no animal in their distillery, and someone is busy calling, saying that they should not touch those ones, that he send them all the way from Kaduna to the Port Harcourt to go and hunt. How many forest do you have in Port? Yeah? I'm a traveler. I've been on the road for more than 15, 17 years. I know what I can start. I know when I have out the kind of Dangote trailer, the way they drove on us, hit our vehicle, about to cram us. It's only God that saves us that very day. That's very easy. That's very easy in Omotosho Junction. In Omotosho Junction, Delta State. I know what my eyes saw. I have been traveling for more than 17 years throughout this our country. And I know what I'm seeing on the road. To just give you a little part of it, you see the way they just waste this military officer, this commander. And many of them, just the one that we just heard about. If I should enlighten you just a little, in my own village, military uniform, then come down from all the way from our border down to Nnamdi State, and then went to one particular village, which I will not mention the name now, but in saying it really meant. Then went and disarm all the security officers, those vigilantes, arrest the order, the chief of the security officer. After all those people announced, just taking the eye of people, telling them that there is some banditry that is coming from north, this and that, those Fulani from that, they should be wise, they should guide their forest, this and that. Do you know that immediately they arrest this guy, disarm others, take away all the equipment, these pumping action, this and carry all of them, say that the order is from Abuja. Do you know that starting from that week, insecurity has been in this particular local government for 3 years and even the president governor Soludo could not stop it. Just some big men are the ones that going about now calling some of their brothers, telling them that this is security that you people are doing. Who are the chief aspect of it?
Thank you.
Foreigners come to our local government and ask people to be killing their own brothers and telling their part. And you people are lying on it.
Thank you so much.
And we got many people that are not from the state at all.
Thank you for your call. Let's hear from other people. 0803-692-9933. 0803-692-9933. That's the number you can call to be a part of this conversation. Please turn off your radio set or turn it to the lowest volume. That's just what I was saying. Please turn off your radio set or turn it to the lowest volume before you call. You can call me on WhatsApp 0817-175-6338. 0817-175-6338. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
I can hear you. What's your name and location, please?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's your name?
Yes, my name is Jason.
All right, go ahead. I think you need to call me back. I'm straining my ears. I can hardly hear you. Welcome to the political spotlight. What's your name and location, please? Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you, madam. Please, speaking on the insecurity of the country, how is it now that the people, the Fulanis are now saying that this will remove something from the social media? All these allegations have been going on for more than 5-6 years that the Fulanis were indicted on the killings and the terrorism in the country. None of them came out to tell us exactly what is happening to them. And they did not, come out to tell us that they are not the ones responsible for all these things. Why is it now that they are now coming up to tell us to tell the people that are opposing it to withdraw it? They should have done something reasonable before now. And the government is not even helping us. Killings everywhere. One is even afraid to go out every morning. I was talking to about last week for our defense. I went for Fiji for 3 days just for 1 day straight in Nevada. How long are we going to continue with that? God should help us.
Thank you for your call. 0803-692-9933. 0803-692-9933. Hello.
Yeah.
Good evening to you. What's your name and location, please?
I'm Becky by name.
Welcome to the conversation.
Yeah, on insecurity in Nigeria, I don't think that the president can do anything about insecurity. Muslim, and all in the north are Muslims.
So,
And he's expecting 20 million votes according to him.
what does that have to do?
He's expecting about 20 million votes from the north. And going to attack this people, they are actually prepared to do the opposition.
To attack the
So they are
people
working with
and
them.
terrorizing the northerners. Who would
Yes, he cannot do
do
anything.
you think that the people who are there do not want insecurity to end? They are also being affected. A lot of
They,
them are in
they,
IDP
they don't want it.
and they are still being
don't-
attacked in the IDP camps.
And they don't want it to end. He cannot do anything if he capacitated. He cannot do anything.
Thank you for your call. 0803-692-9933. Let me take some of your messages on WhatsApp. All right, 0817-175-6338 on WhatsApp, 0817-175-6338 on WhatsApp. I'm tired of bad news because of my health. God bless Nigeria. Chima, where is Esther? My regards to her. Esther is fine. She'll be with us very, very shortly. Mr. President shall flush out the repentant bandit in the army. They are saboteur. Olayemi from Sango. Alrighty. Can croaky voice man called Koboko get educated with his... What are we talking about here? Chama, using prayers as a solution to national problem is the work of imbecility, taken to its apogee and glorification of mental laziness. Take it easy. Okay, Ifede. The issues of security in Nigeria has been politically compromised. How can terrorists move a large number of school students and their teacher now? Kogi is their next target. Where is DSS, civil defense, police, and the military? Good evening. Their leaders in the north will not allow them go to school because they are the foot soldiers. That's the naked truth. Sunday, Tejun Jaye from Songwater. Good evening, Chioma. The call by the PDP on President Tinubu to resign on his failure to handle the insecurity is a laudable one. To be honest with you, there has never been any African leader that has ever voluntarily resigned on the ground of incompetence or otherwise because of their greed and selfishness. They prefer to be addressed as late to ex-president because they have no conscience. Engineer Salau from Governor Road, Ikotun. All right. Leave your comment on YouTube. It's VOP 903 FM on YouTube. All right, it's VOP 903 FM on YouTube. Prince Paul says, if I have the opportunity to be at the White House, I'll beg Trump to come to our rescue. We have bad leaders. All right, thank you for your message. Yusuf Omar says, we lack good leaders in Nigeria. May God bless us and save us from evil politicians. All right, leave your comments on YouTube and leave your messages on WhatsApp. Good evening, I'm Dele from Ikorodu. From the analysis of your guests, he seemed to believe the problem of Nigeria started in 2015 when APC came to power. If he believes terrorism is state-sponsored, is he saying that ex-President Jonathan was also sponsoring terrorism during his regime? In addition, if he believes that the governors are joining the APC to avoid EFCC probe, why is Sule Lamido still in the PDP despite the fact he and his son has pending case with the EFCC, but he refused to join APC? Good evening, Chioma. May God bless your guest for speaking truth to power. Do well to be bringing him always. May God bless Nigeria. Online chief from Ayobo. Good evening from Adeyemi Kamara, Banana Island, Lagos. Nnamdi Kanu was duly convicted. All right. Thank you for your message. Good evening, Ma. Where do you bring this man who's saying this? When a man talk concern Fulani, they're always afraid to say the truth. That's just his opinion. Good evening. I think with what Sheikh Gumi is doing, I suspect the terrorist sponsors in government are trying to make us see terrorists as being stronger than our military and security institutions, and also weaken our minds and make us feel defeated and ready to submit to these terrorists when they eventually get to us. But I'd rather die fighting than die like a coward or submit to them. From Chief Udo. Good evening. President Trump is correct with his plans to continue to police the world as the U.S. is mandated. Mandated by whom? Nigeria should make haste at keeping quiet and stop their noise of a small fry. They are not equal to the world powers, but rather an embarrassment even to their own people. To vote Tinubu and the APC government out as the consensus, governors have become the problem and must be stopped by the people. Only the governors that participate to justly play a tambuwal against the wiki at some party primary on President Tinubu and the APC in 2027 election are worthy of return vote. Otherwise, all the governors must be voted out for supporting the aid to their plan to capture the people they are meant to show direction. There is a thin line between vice and virtue. Any morality that doesn't give happiness is as good as vice, or even worse than vice itself. Tochukwu Adele Thompson from Obanikoro. All right, thank you for your message. Greetings, Chairman, Mr. Alexander and VOP. Mr. Alexander is very correct. At the eve of end hunger protests, most of the National Assembly members fled abroad. Most of the current political class depend on foreign countries for education, healthcare, holidays, etc. This is the height of unpatriotism, and no nation with such situation can ever move forward. Until the masses wake up to take back their country, Nigeria will not make progress and continue to lament. President Amechi from Mafaluku. Good evening, Chairman. And the guest, I want to encourage the opposition to bring out all the past tweets and statements made by Tinubu and the APC against former President Jonathan. Those currently endorsing him will be put to shame in 2027 with a resounding and embarrassing defeat. This government has failed. Emma in Lagos. Emma, thank you for your call. Good evening, VOP. Now we learned that some of the kidnapped students in Niger State have escaped from the terrorists who kidnapped them. Excuse me. Does someone somewhere thinks that Nigerians are fools? How come over 50 students escaped from their kidnappers? Even if Nigerians are fools, I think the most foolish Nigerians should know it is not possible. By deductive reasoning, those that are said to have escaped were released after some ransom must have been paid. Funny enough, the hard-earned taxpayers' money by poor masses are used to settle these bandits. Well, God will judge. Agege from Agege. Hello, VOP family. I think the US government have forgotten to include one thing on that condition given to the Nigerian government, which is timeline. Also produce the names of the terrorists given to PMB administration by UAE. Ikemba from Mafaluku in Oshodi. Thank you for your message, Ikenga. My name is John Amodu. These terrorists are using phones to demand for ransom. They're using bank accounts. What's the reason of SIM registration and NIN? Our leaders know everything about this. Until Tinubu start dealing with the sponsor, if not, insecurity will not stop. All right. Good evening. Okay, political spotlight. Greetings, Chairman. Your very intelligent and wise analyst. Solution to the numerous security challenges might take. President should give all the governors the marching order to rid their states of these marauding terrorist bandits, crime and criminality. Empower the police to ensure it happens. Any further incident in any state will cause the governor to lose their seat. President must release the name of terrorist sponsors, prosecute and punish them. Disarm with immediate effect the bearing of arms and ammunition by Fulani terrorist headers and bandits. Post soldiers, police, civil defense to guide their region or state of origin. Encourage and fund the setting up of vigilante groups in all communities. Oma from Ogba. All right. Good evening, Chairman. My name is Amadi Ibekwe. DSS and SSS is waiting for Nnamdi Kanu. They will not do anything. All right. Give me a call 0803-692-9933. Please turn off your radio set or turn it to the lowest volume before you call. Hello. Please turn off your radio set before you call. Leave a comment on YouTube. It's VOP 903 FM. Welcome to the Political Spotlight. Thank you for calling.
Hello?
What's your name and location, please?
Good evening.
Good
Are you hearing me?
Yes. Good evening. How you doing?
I'm good. My name is John, G-O-N.
Okay, welcome.
Okay, hold on. You still managed to do political spotlight. That's good.
Thank you.
So, my emotion, please, let's realize that Nigeria is finished. So we should stop pretending as if we are okay, if we are human beings. Are you with me?
I can hear you.
Nigerian problems are Nigerian. Why must we allow everything in the country? In the first place, you are supposed to allow this Muslim ticket. Okay? Because when Muslim is becoming too much, we find out that there is no opposition in that regard. Muslim president, Muslim vice president, many other people Muslim too. And Nigerians are okay with that.
You know that doesn't stop them from working for the good of Nigerians, right? It doesn't stop them from working for the good of Nigerians.
But are they doing it? These are not the crop of people. These people that are living now, they are not the crop of people. It's just that, unfortunately, we Nigerians, we are too docile. Anything they give us.
Hello, are you there? All right, give me a call back. We have a few minutes before we have to go. 0803-692-9933. That's the number you can call to be a part of this conversation. I can only take one more call. The handsome has come in for the next show and he's already giving me the bad eye. Welcome to the I turn off your radio set before you call. I'm not taking any more calls. In fact, I need to go. It's time for me to go. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Thank you for your messages. Thank you for your calls. Thank you so much. Good evening, Chairman. I'm one of Nnamdi Kanu's sympathizers. Due to lack of tactfulness and zest, he got himself hung on the wrong side of the law. All right. Former Chief of Defense Staff Buratai once said the North is emotionally attached to insurgency. Chairman, the northern political class are not bothered about insecurity in the north. Amechi from Mafoluko. All right, then. Thank you for your messages. Thank you for your calls. Thank you for your comments. I really, really appreciate you. It's always an interesting time whenever we come to have these conversations. Thank you so much. It's time for me to go, but remember, it's not just about what your country can do for you. Think about what you can also do for your country. Do the best you can to make Nigeria better in your own little corner of the world. My name is Chioma Innocent. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Toe Handsome is on standby to take you into the next segment of interesting conversations right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM.